Welcome back to another episode of the Craftavore Tastes. I'm your host, Max. And today we're digging into a beer from Brix Brewing in Little Ferry, New Jersey. This is Get Pitted. So, Get Pitted is a double IPA coming in at 8.5% ABV. And it is brewed with peach puree, lactose, and Madagascar vanilla beans. So, before I dive into the review, funny little story about Brix Brewing. I used to live literally a half a mile down the road from the brewery. They opened up actually in 2015, and I remember the day that they opened. I was super stoked, obviously, to be able to have a brewery so close to my house, and so ended up going. And you could kind of tell, like, a couple of the recipes that they had there, you know, obviously needed a bit amounts of tweaking, but like the base for like some really solid beers was there. And over the course of like the couple of months, they kind of started building a little bit and kicking out some pretty good beers. And then they kind of hit a wall a little bit. Joe and Peter, the owners, and they're super, super nice guys. But you could kind of tell that, you know, I think the transition from home brewer to professional might have been a little bit more difficult than they were expecting. So, you know, they kind of struggled with a little bit of consistency issues. You know, even kind of some of the tap room stuff, you know, and the tasting room things, you know, lines not accurate or appropriate levels of carbonation, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so, you know, they kind of vacillated back and forth a little bit in terms of, you know, quality and kind of consistency of their beers. And then I end up moving away in May of 2016. And literally that month... They go ahead and hire in a new brewing team to kind of take over. Obviously, obviously the vast majority of actually brewing the beers themselves, and you know, Pete and Joe kind of focus on being owners, and you know, obviously doing all that business side stuff. And since that point on, they've kind of taken off a bit. Even so much so here in the last 6 months or so, you know, they really have become kind of like. Borderline kind of hype little brewery, right? Like they've got, you know, lines for cans now. They're doing weekly can releases. You know, around that time of May, maybe summer of 2016, they jumped on the haze craze, right? So nothing all that unusual. Obviously, the haze craze is, you know, what brewery isn't doing it these days, right? So anyway, you know, that kind of propelled them, and then they just started creating amazing, amazing beers. So of course, the moment I move away from a half a mile away, they blow up and start kicking out amazing beers. But anyway, congrats to those dudes, man. Brix City is absolutely killing it right now. This is Get Pitted, as I mentioned. So I know that they have brewed this beer a couple different times. I've actually never had it, so was able to kind of drive down to the brewery. I don't live that close anymore, but sometimes I get the opportunity to go down there. So this was one I wanted to go ahead and check out and review. So let's go ahead and get her into a glass. Obviously, we'll take a look at the appearance, then we'll do the aroma, taste, rate. All right, let's go ahead, get this beer into a glass. As I mentioned again, Get Pitted is brewed with peach puree, lactose, and Madagascar vanilla beans. All right, so let's take a look at this beer right now. So, traditional, Matt. New England style IPA, man. That's, you know, what they all are. I promise you I'm going to start doing some more different types of beers, man. I realize I've been doing a tremendous amount of New England style IPAs lately, and I do apologize. We'll get into some stouts and porters and pilsners and all that other kind of stuff. But anyway, so let's take a look at this beer. You know, medium gold color. Looks pretty much the same as a tremendous amount of New England style IPAs that I've been reviewing. They all look kind of super similar. Just poured that out. Not a tremendous amount of head, right? So, you know, obviously some oats in this malt bill. You know, head is pretty much dissipated. So let's go ahead and give ourselves an aroma. Yo, man. All right, so straight up, right out, obviously. Brewed with peach puree, right? So what do I get the dominant smell, right? It absolutely is 100% peach. Overripe peach, though. Smells really, really nice. Smells creamy, right? So that lactose is definitely popping through. You get kind of an almost kind of creamy, like milkiness type of aroma coming off. And even a little bit of sweetness on the back end there, likely from those Madagascar vanilla beans. Man, it smells good, but honestly, truthfully, it smells like peach nectar. All right, so let's go ahead and give her a taste. Cheers. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Peaches and cream. What a great mix. So, straight up in the taste, tremendous amount of peach nectar, um, deep, kind of almost muddled peach, mixed in with definitely getting a bit more of that kind of vanilla up front. The lactose is lending itself to having kind of a soft mouthfeel. I wouldn't necessarily. It's not like a milkshake IPA, right? Like so, it doesn't necessarily taste all that. It's soft. It doesn't necessarily taste creamy. There's a distinction. But that vanilla and those Madagascar vanilla beans, man, wow! It's like it does a great job of kind of melding in together perfectly with that peach to kind of create a peach kind of peaches and cream smoothie-ish, peaches and cream kind of cobbler thing going on. Like, going in for another taste. That's really, 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 really nice. Yeah, you get a little bit of bitterness that's kind of hanging around a little there. It's not necessarily a stringency, I would say, but I would think that it has a bitterness that isn't necessarily, I don't think, coming from, it's not a hop astringency or a hop bitterness. It's more kind of pithy peach skins, right? That bitterness that you would get if you just kind of took like a peach skin, chomped down on it really, really hard with your teeth, and then just kind of, like that. I think that you would kind of get, the bitterness would be super similar in this beer if you did something like that. So I have a feeling that that's kind of where that bitterness is coming through. But it kind of dissipates. Beer finish is bone dry. I dig it, man. This is really, really, really freaking good. It's delicious. These style of IPAs, right, with lactose, kind of, vanilla, things of that nature might not be everybody's bag. I think this is one of those beers where one is good enough. Like if you're doing it in like a bottle share or, just to share with some friends, like, you just want to have that kind of one, because I don't know how many you would want to have kind of in a row. The aromas and the tastes are so defined and so specific that, it does not scream for more. But man, it's freaking fun. Like, it's a super, super fun beer. So let's go ahead and give this one a rating. Honestly, this is really, 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 really good. I'm going to give it a 4.25. Definitely better than, obviously, a 4 beer. 4.25 caps is, I think, exactly where it kind of should be. I'm not going to sit there and say that it's a 4.5 beer. I think it's close. But 4.25 is kind of where I feel pretty comfortable with it. Like, it's freaking awesome. So, like, if you live in and around the Little Ferry area in New Jersey, check out Brix City again, man. Like, it's possible that maybe you went to them, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. They're doing amazing things. They've kind of really taken off. So if maybe that's a brewery that you kind of wrote off for whatever particular reason, I would say go check them out. Like, they are doing some super, super dope beers, and Get Pitted is one of them. All right, so 4.25 from the Craftavore Tastes. Join me again for another episode where I drink, review, rate, and then I repeat. Cheers.